I get pissed. God damn it, I get pissed.
Stay tuned for tonight's adventure with the Fat Man.
Okay, here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is. I hope it's good to be where you are, because I'm mad as hell to be here today. My name is Baltimore Fats, and I get pissed. God damn it, I get pissed. Yeah, all right. Okay, so what has me so riled up today? Oh my god. Okay, so I just came in way too hot on that, on that first take, right? And so what has me so riled up is that on Monday, just 2 days ago, the mayor of Baltimore City, Brandon Scott, reinstated the indoor mask mandate in Baltimore City, right? And this is what he had to say about it.
If you're not vaccinated, shut up.
If you're not vaccinated, shut up.
Don't complain.
Don't complain. If you're not vaccinated, shut up. Just you shut up. All right? Don't complain about what's happening here because you're unvaccinated.
For anyone that's frustrated about wearing a mask and you're not vaccinated, then look in the mirror. It's your fault.
It's your fault. It's the unvaccinated's fault that we have to go back to this mask mandate. Right? This is unbelievable the way that they can talk about such a large group of people, and that's what this video is going to be about. You know, and he's not alone. You know, our esteemed governor, Larry Hogan, he's in on this act too.
You are the ones threatening the freedoms of all the rest of us.
You are the ones. You are the ones threatening the freedoms of the rest. This is unbelievable the way that they can talk about any group of people in the United States of America or even on the world, right? Because we're going to get into what all this is, but, you know, so I wanted to find out, well, who are these unvaccinated, right? I know I'm unvaccinated, but who are they? Who are the unvaccinated that are this big threat? You know, who are the unvaccinated that are being told to shut up by the mayor of Baltimore City? And this is the same Governor Hogan, by the way, who in the early stages of the pandemic, you know, went and used almost $10 million of Maryland money to buy faulty coronavirus tests from South Korea. None of them worked, right? And in here they talk about it. And those that did didn't work well and presented many false positives. You know, and I think that's something that's a part of the story that isn't getting talked about so much, is this false positive aspect with all of these people who are fully vaxxed or double vaxxed or whatever. They just wasted, you know, in the end, I think it's something like $12 or $13 million, because he not only did he do it once, he went back and did it again, you know, for $2.5 million. So $12.5 million at least Governor Hogan wasted on these tests. Faulty tests. All right, same guy now calling out the unvaccinated as the problem, right? It's the unvaccinated's fault. All right, so who are the unvaccinated? All right, because I don't know, you know, if there's no like massive anti-vaxxer campaign going on out there, at least none that I'm aware of, right? I mean, certainly the mainstream media isn't talking about the anti-vaxxers and the case that they're making, and, you know, the anti-vaxxer demonstrations and stuff aren't getting quite the same coverage, are they? All right, so who are these people not getting the vaccine? Because as I say, I haven't, and I'm not going to get the vaccine unless under force. You know, I'm physically strapped down or whatever. But, you know, for those who just choose otherwise, you know, what mainstream media seems to be doing is painting them as some form of extremist, right? But is that true, right? And so this is the Maryland Matters COVID-19 and vaccination data page, right? And I'm just going to refresh it so we have the most up-to-date. And, all right, so I just want to get to who are the unvaccinated, right? And so here we have race and ethnicity, all right, share of cases, deaths, and full vaccinations by race, all right? So the top, they have the white, of course. I'm sure somebody's going to say how white supremacist that is, right? But it says that so the population of white people in the state of Maryland by percentage is they have 57%, they have roughly 57% of the state population, okay, right? And they make up about 36% of the cases, not a coincidence there. And they're about 50% of the deaths are white people in the state of Maryland, right? But it says share of fully vaccinated, 52.2%. Okay, so that means 47.8%, you know, almost half of the state of Maryland as of today is not fully vaccinated. You know, half. You know, but when you hear what the mainstream media and what people like the mayor of Baltimore City are saying, and the governor of Maryland, and the president, I'm sure, says this rhetoric as well, and the political pundits and everybody, right? You know, these unvaccinated people, you know, and I hate the word anti-vaxxer because I'm not anti-vax. You want to get the thing. You know, don't tell me I gotta get it. You know, hey, that's crazy talk, right? But you know, so half of white people roughly are yet to be fully vaccinated. That's not a minority. You know, that's half the white population speaking with their actions, right? So when we go down to African American, you know, they make up 32% of the state population, right, and 31% of the cases. Right, 36%, 36 and 36, roughly, when you average those out, that's very interesting. You know, 36% of the deaths, but only 23% of African American people are unvaccinated. All right, so that's a huge, so that leaves 75% of the African American community in Maryland as unvaccinated. All right, so when you think about that, who are these politicians, these political pundits, the mayor freaking Baltimore City? Who is he telling to shut up? He's telling his African American constituency to shut up at 75% unvaccinated in the state of Maryland. And when you look at the Baltimore, Maryland's population, you know, what is Baltimore's population? By ethnicity, right? By race, right? Black or African American. 62% of Baltimore City is black. You know, leaving a 30% white, you know, Asian at 2%. And I'm surprised that there isn't a larger Hispanic contingent in Baltimore, but that being as it may, right? 62%. You know, and it's clear that Black and African American people of color, are speaking with their actions by not getting vaccinated. And it's not a minority. It's the majority of them. So when Brandon Scott tells people who are not vaccinated,
If you're not vaccinated, shut up.
he is talking about Black African Americans in the city of Baltimore with a 62% population of African American and Black people and people of color. I mean, that is unbelievable. You know, the mayor of Baltimore City talking that way, the governor of the state of Maryland, these are the people they are talking down to. And it's a large number, because when you look at the population of America, vaccinated people in America, and we'll refresh this for today too. Right, here we are, August 9th. What's today though? Today's the 11th, but I guess I did refresh that. We are at fully vaccinated 50.8%. You know, so, I mean, barely the majority, by the scantest of margin, is the majority of the country fully vaccinated. You know, and how much is... And almost 60% has had at least one dose. But still, that leaves a 40% fully unvaccinated, at least against COVID-19. This is not a minority trying to screw things up. This is a large percentage of the population speaking with their actions. Okay? And, you know, they want to blame some of it on the fact that they say that, you know, people in poorer communities don't have access to the vaccinations. But I cry BS on that, you know, because every Walmart, every Target, every Walgreens, CVS, you name it, you know, every supermarket has the vaccination, you know. I mean, so half of the country doesn't live isolated from these places. And that's absolutely ridiculous to think about. All right, so what's happening is these people there, by using the language that they're using, it's their fault. It's the unvaccinated fault. They are actively discriminating. Right? It is the textbook definition. The unjust or prejudicial treatment of different categories of people or things, especially on the grounds of race, age, or sex, or wanting to have any agency over the things that go in your own body. I mean, they are actively discriminating. They are bullying. Right? They are intimidating or coercing. You know, and that's what they're doing with all of these incentive programs and lotteries and get $100 from your, get an extra day off or whatever, whatever they want to, they're stringing out there as bait for these things, I mean, if they have to do that and 50% of the population is yet to be fully vaccinated, that's telling, at this stage of the game. This isn't, a minority trying to screw things up for the vast majority of people who are getting vaccinated. It's absolutely crazy, and what's happening with this narrative is the incredible hypocrisy of it all, especially coming from the mainstream media and from the Democratic side. And this is not to say that, I think vaccination is way more than a bipartisan, red versus blue paradigm thing, I mean, as I said, I'm not anti-vax. I mean, you want to get it, get it. It's all about the freedom of it, and the sovereignty of your body, right? And, I don't know about all of you, but I can't help but think about this campaign that was hugely successful when Roe v. Wade was threatened in the late 80s and early 90s. The U.S. out of my uterus, right? I mean, this was this was a hugely successful campaign, right? That women who were in support of abortion used to maintain that freedom of choice, right? What is so different about refusing the vaccine and choosing an abortion? When you think about it, it's still a choice over your own body. That's all that's happening when you decide not to take it, when you decide not to take a vaccination or any drug or anything, when you make your own decisions for yourself. And that's what these women fought for, in the 60s with Roe versus Wade, and in the 80s and 90s when Roe versus Wade was challenged and they had this Stay out of U.S. out of my uterus campaign. All right, so if you're a woman who is pro-choice, and this is true of anyone that is pro-choice, really, I suppose, but really this is more for women. If you're a woman who is pro-choice, then you cannot deny anyone the right to choose whether or not they get a vaccination, right? Because you do not have the moral high ground, because you cannot say that your decision didn't cost a life. I mean, there's just no way around that. So the double standard is crazy. What is happening here? How can any Democratic woman, look at themselves in the mirror and call out someone who's making a choice over their own body, who's taking agency over their own body? The amount of hypocrisy is crazy. This is in every way, shape, and form a hate crime. They are using shame. They are shaming people with this rhetoric when they tell people to shut up and it's their fault. I mean, they are using shame. They are virtue signaling, right? And this is a crime. It's a hate crime. There's no other way to look at it. Anyone who uses anti-vax or uses any sort of discriminatory, inflammatory, anyone who says anything negative about someone who makes a choice about their own body is committing a hate crime. They are bullies. Anyone who says anything about that is a bully, right? Especially when you look at the numbers, when still at this stage of the game, half of the country is not fully vaccinated. This is not, there is a much bigger part of the story that, that is actively being suppressed, right? They are shaming people, right? Anytime they use this rhetoric of, if you're unvaccinated, shut up. It's your fault. I mean, that is shaming, and in this friggin' identity politics world, how could anyone on the liberal side feel good about themselves? How could they look at themselves in the mirror anytime that they shame someone who is choosing not to vaccinate, anyone that is taking agency in the things that happen within their body? I mean, it is an absolute hate crime. So anyone using that rhetoric is a bully. There's no two ways about it, right?
For anyone that's frustrated about wearing a mask and you're not vaccinated, then look in the mirror. It's your fault that we're going back to having an indoor mask mandate.
Right? You look in a mirror, right? Are you kidding me? If they told, a morbidly obese person to go look in a mirror, you don't think they would get hit with fat shaming? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And again, the hypocrisy. He is calling out, such a large percentage of African American people in Baltimore. It is crazy. If he did that in any other area, any other arena, he would be crucified. It's ridiculous. So, why? What do they need to use all of this shame for? Right? And Mayor Brandon Scott, he's got the answer.
Folks need to wear a mask to protect themselves, to protect the people around them, to make sure, even if you're vaccinated, that you're not transmitting this deadly virus to anyone else.
You're not transmitting this deadly virus to anyone else, right? And I love the way you look at this. I have it set up here again. Watch.
Deadly virus to anyone else. This deadly virus.
Look at the way he has to look down when he says deadly virus, this deadly virus. He kind of gives a nod like, it's the same story he's been having to say again and again and again. And yet, how can he say it at all? How can he stand up in front of people and say that it's the unvaccinated's fault, that we're going back to mask mandates and the unvaccinated are the problem here? Let's take a look at what the death totals for COVID are in Baltimore City. All right, and we'll refresh this. And now I'm going to do from July 1st, right? Because Mayor Brandon Scott lifted the initial indoor mask mandate on July 1st. And he reinstated it again just this last Monday, so it barely lasted 6 weeks. So from July 1st. Okay, so here we go. From July 1st, the day that he lifted the mask mandate, right? We're just going to scroll through here. All right, 0 deaths, 0 death, 0 death, 1 death. 0, 1. So we are 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 deaths. All right, so we're looking at about 5 or 6 deaths from COVID-19 related illness in the city of Baltimore. That's the driving force for reinstating the mask mandate and, calling out the unvaccinated, because by association, it's the unvaccinated that are causing the problem, right? And so by association, it's the unvaccinated that are causing these deaths, right? But so that's like 5 or 6, right? And again, every life matters, right? So if every life matters, right? So how many lives do you think the city of Baltimore has taken in this time, Mr. Mayor Brandon Scott? How many people have been murdered in Baltimore, right? So during the month of July 2021, Baltimore City reported 29 homicides, right? 29, right? And in the month of August, there's already been like 5 or 6. Right, so we're at like 35 or 36 homicides in the city of Baltimore versus the 5 or 6 COVID-19 related deaths. All right, so that means it's like 10 times more dangerous to just be in Baltimore City than it is to get COVID-19 in Baltimore City. Yet Mayor Brandon Scott wants to call out the unvaccinated, wants to blame the unvaccinated, right? And the most of those unvaccinated are African American or people of color. This is who he's calling out. Yet there were 35 or 36 murders in the same 6-week span that the mask mandate was lifted. Yet it's the unvaccinated's fault. That's why Baltimore is so dangerous a place. It's COVID-19 that's so dangerous in Baltimore. Give me a break. So, I get pissed. God damn it, I get pissed. It's absolutely crazy that they could wage this type of hate campaign and smear campaign, bullying campaign, this discriminatory hate speech against people who are just taking agency over their own bodies. And that is what's happening. It is unbelievable, the hypocrisy at play. So, okay, that's what I got for this rant, guys. I have worked up a, presentation as to why I have chosen to be unvaccinated, and hopefully I can get to that one soon. All right, but I'm not really back. This is just because I got so pissed off. I probably won't be back till about late September by the way I'm looking at it. But anyway, okay. So remember, guys, just because you don't know the truth doesn't mean you can't have fun with the lies, right? So until the next one, cheers, guys.
I get pissed. God damn it, I get pissed.